Well, hey there, I'm Elaine Somerville, and I am a medium, and I know that a lot of you are out there who are mediums as well. So, welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be answering the top 10 questions that people ask me all the time about mediumship and psychic development. If you're here because you feel like something's off, or maybe you've had weird intuitive moments, stick around because this is for you. Now, the first question I get asked, which is a very popular question, is how do I know if I am a medium? Or how do I know that I have psychic abilities? So, good question. Most people think that psychics are just sitting in dark rooms with crystal balls. That's wrong. I do have a crystal ball, yes, but I'm not sitting in dark rooms sitting playing with my crystal ball. Being psychic just means that you pick up on energy that most people miss. Maybe you can walk into a room and feel someone's mood instantly. You think of a friend and they might text you 5 minutes later. You get a gut hit about someone you're always right. That's you being psychic. And here's what's real. You're already doing it. You just don't label it. You just don't understand it. The skill is learning to trust it, to catch it, to use it on purpose. And if that resonates with you, feel free to pop a comment in, and then you will be able to develop it further. You'll be able to develop it further. It's quite a while since I was on live, so I'm just checking some things here, seeing if I'm doing it the right way. I do hope I am live. Now, the second question that I get asked is, can anyone develop their psychic abilities? And I'm going to say this loud and proud, yes. Period. Yes. This isn't like being tall or having blonde hair. It is a skill. Skills get better with practice. You know, there's a saying, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Well, it's not that you'll ever lose it, but they do get a little bit stagnant. They do get a little bit rusty. Think about it like learning a guitar. Your neighbour can learn guitar. You can learn guitar. That kid down the street can learn guitar. Some people will pick it up faster, 100%. But everyone can get good. Psychic development works the same way. Some people are naturally intuitive from birth. They grew up listening to their gut. For others, they've been talked out of it the whole life. They've been told to dismiss it. They've been told about doubting it. And then they've got to relearn what they already know. Either way, yes, you can develop this. The question isn't, can you? The question is, will you do the work? That is the real question, because everyone can develop it. Every single person. And again, it comes down to if you want to or not. Now, the third question that I get asked is, how do I connect with spirit guides? I remember years ago, that was one of the first questions I ever asked a medium. How do I connect with my spirit guides? Well, spirit guides are real. They're energy connected to your soul's journey, and they've been with you the whole time. And here's an interesting fact that you might not know. You are paired with your spirit guide based on your mother. That is where the connection is, based on your mother. So here's how you actually connect. First, get quiet. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting still for an hour, as though you're floating on air. 5 minutes is enough. Just get enough to get your brain to chill, to still. That's all. And then the second thing is ask them a question. You can ask them out loud, or you can ask them in your head. What do you want me to know right now? And then boom, you've opened the door. And then third is pay attention to what comes through. It could be a feeling, it could be a random thought that just pops up, a song that won't stop playing, a name. Spirit doesn't always show up like in a movie. It's quite subtle. You know, it could just be a flash of an image. It could be a feeling that's just put on you. And then fourth is to trust it. This is where a lot of people do mess up, because they get a hint and then they think, no, that's just me. Yes, that is you. That's exactly how they talk to you. Your job is learning the language, because it takes practice, but it is real. You know, I remember years ago, in the first time I knowingly made a connection to spirit, to a loved one. I didn't understand. I'll be honest with you, for years I thought I was a schizophrenic. I didn't realize I was a medium. Now, what happened was I went from feeling quite happy to feeling so depressed and so desolate in the blink of an eye. And I was actually connecting to someone who had committed suicide, and I was getting the feelings of how they felt at that time. Now, if I didn't realize that I was connecting to spirit, bearing in mind this was the first time I ever stood on a stage or ever stood on a platform, and minutes before I stood on that platform, I was still thinking I was schizophrenic, because the voices in the head would talk to each other. So in the blink of an eye, I felt that difference, and I knew I was making a connection. Mind, afterwards, I thought someone had put the heebie-jeebies on us, but, you know, I soon learned to get over that. I soon learned to trust. Now, another question that's asked is, can you really talk to deceased loved ones? Well, here's the thing. Yes, you can, because I do it all the time. I've just took a church service tonight where I've made connections and connected with loved ones. So yes, I do it all of the time. And before you think I'm a little bit insane, I'm not. I've developed my abilities, and I have done this over and over and over and over. The evidence is always there, because loved ones want you to know that they are with you and around you as well. You know, they do want you to know that. So the answer is yes, you can speak to spirit. You do speak to spirit. It's as plain and easy as that. Now, because here's what a lot of people don't understand, or didn't used to understand. Death isn't an off switch. It's just a shift. Your loved ones are still around you. They're just operating from a different frequency. You know, I've heard people say they're just in a different room. They've just shifted, that's all. You know, I look at it as it's just like a parallel universe, because a medium is just a bridge. I learned how to dial into that frequency and translate what comes through, because how it comes through is feelings, symbols, pictures, visions, what looks like little film reels in my mind. I'll hear, you know, just a thought pop in, or I might hear a sentence. It all depends on how I'm working on the day, and it all depends on the actual spirit that I'm connecting to, how they want to connect as well. So a medium is just a bridge. We are just a bridge between worlds. So what does that look like? I sit with someone, I get feelings, I see images, like I've just said, I hear words, I know things I shouldn't possibly know, or I couldn't possibly know, names, dates, private jokes, nicknames, street names, details that only that person would understand. And a client might cry, not because they're sad, but because suddenly they know that their person is still here, still watching, still proud, still protecting, still guiding. Their loved one is there with them. And that's what real mediumship is. If I'm standing up, either at an event or at a church service, I still work the same way. I still get the visions, the feelings. It makes no difference whether it is in a private reading or whether that is in a church service, if that makes sense to you. Now, because I always find that when people cry, that is healing. That is the healing. And I look at it as, I don't aim to make people cry, but at the same time, if people cry, that tells me that I have managed to connect them with their loved one, and I've been able to capture the essence of their loved one as well. Which then brings me to another question I get asked. I've got them wrote down on me. I've got them wrote down on my piece of paper here. The questions that I get asked. What's the difference between a psychic and a medium? People do mix these up all of the time. A psychic reads your energy, your situation, your past, your present, your future. They use their intuition to pick up on what's happening in your life right now. Think of it as reading your aura, everything around you. A medium can do that, and they connect with spirit as well. Deceased people, guides, ancestors, they're a messenger between the worlds. A psychic can also give you evidence of a loved one because they can glean it from your aura. But that can come over a lot of the times like a shopping list. And it's because psychics can be still in the head and a medium works from the heart. There's no, it's not a bad thing because psychics are just as much needed as what mediums are. So it's just working on a different frequency. That's all. There's a saying, a psychic can't go up to mediumship, but a mediumship can work psychically. A medium can work psychically. So a psychic can't work mediumistically, but a medium can work psychically. A medium can drop. And I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments so I can see your questions. Feel free to do that. Now, also, the simple version is, like I've just said there, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. A psychic might tell you, I see a career change coming. A medium might say, your grandmother wants you to know she's proud of the choice you're about to make. I mean, that is what I'm saying, that's quite generic, but that's a type of thing because the messages would come from a loved one, but you would give enough evidence of your loved one to know that it is coming from them. You see? Both are valuable, both take skill. Just know the difference before you book. Know the difference before you book. And here is a very common question as well. A lot of people want to know how to develop mediumship abilities. Now, this is my take on this because it's serious work, but it's doable. It is doable. So, what you would do is you would ground yourself. You can't channel clearly if you're all over the place. Get into meditation, learn to quiet your mind. That is foundational. That is foundational. A lot of people will say you don't need to meditate. That's up to them. That's up to them. You know, me personally, mediumship involves meditation because you're clearing your mind, you're clearing your mind of your thoughts, your visions, everything to do with your life. Meditation helps you to clear that mind, you see, so that it's clear, so spirit can come down, make that connection with you. And then also practice receiving. Practice receiving, not transmitting, but receiving, not controlling, receiving. Sit down and ask spirit to show you something, anything. What comes, write it down. And you can do this daily because, you'll find that over time, things will, start to pile up. You could fill a notebook of everything that you've been shown. But do it daily. Get into that habit. And then step 3, develop. Get trained. Because ideally, you need to develop with someone who knows what they're doing to show you how to do this safely. Now, when I say safely, it's not that anyone is going to connect with you and, zap you and take you over there or anything like that. It's just so that it keeps your mind in balance and that it helps you to understand what symbols are. What symbols are. A few years ago there was a medium, and obviously I'm not going to mention any names, but a few years ago there was a medium who was basically what he did was he was not understanding what he was receiving. He'd went to someone, he told someone, your wife's having an affair. And the gentleman ran home, watched his wife for a few weeks and things like this. And what happened was he made it all fit. When she was going out, when his wife was going out, he would overthink it and he would think she's going to meet a boyfriend, she's going to have an affair, and he'd make it all fit. In reality, she wasn't having an affair. Nothing of the sort. She had her own life, the same as we all have our own life. My partner doesn't know what I do every single minute of the day, and neither should he. Same as I don't know who he talks to every day, all day long, and neither should I. But because this person had told this man that his wife was having an affair, he made it fit in his head. And it was simply the medium or the psychic wasn't understanding what he was receiving. You see, so that's why we're talking about doing it safely. Because it's not really something that you figure it out on your own. There are energy boundaries that you do need to learn, ideally. Protection work. You hear people talk about protection and things like that, how to close down properly. Those are things, and basically controlling your own abilities so that your mind doesn't play tricks on you. It's your mind that plays tricks on you, not spirit. And then step 4, practice with real people, because you can't learn this all alone. You have to practice with other people. You have to practice making that connection. You have to practice, making connections with other people so that you can learn the difference in their in your symbols to understand. And then the person that you're connecting with, they would tell you either yes or no. And then if you get a no, that is a lesson. It's not you're wrong, it's a lesson. It's for you to learn that, right, that means no, so I'm going to what else could it be? Here's another little example for you. Years ago, I was running a development class, and one of the students, she was connecting with someone, and she had said to this lady, she says, I've got, I think she said it was a son, I think. I've got a son here, you looked after him, and he loved to eat beans on toast. And the woman said no. And the developer medium had said no. She says, well, I've got your son here, and beans on toast was a quick meal that he could just turn to whenever he got hungry. And the woman said no. And to cut a long story short, the development medium had asked me for help, and I says, keep going. I says, you learn what your symbol is. This was in a closed circle. This was in a closed class. So she tried another time, and she'd actually even went so far as to say, I've got your son here, and he had really bad wind. He loved eating beans that much that he really had bad wind. And that sounds quite comical. But anyway, it was wrong. And the woman again had said no. In reality, it was the woman's husband who she'd cared for at the later stage of his illness, and he should have been eating more fiber. That was basically, that's exactly what it was. But she'd felt it was a son because she felt as though she was caring for him. So she felt as though it was a son. She was seeing a tin of Heinz baked beans. Now, to me, Heinz baked beans is a source of fiber. It's also that type of food that you might not have had it for years, and then you have some, and oh, that's so Moorish, I want some more of that. I did that the other day. I had beans on toast 2 days in a row because I'd had it the first day, and I was like, really enjoyed that, so I had some more the next day. But also, beans on toast also does give you wind. It really does. But also it's a quick meal. It's a quick meal for people who are in a rush. Young people who go to university, living away from home. At one time, it was the go-to food. Beans on toast, cheap to get a loaf of bread and some tins of beans. Not so cheap these days, but back then it was. So that's what she was deciphering that into. But that was a symbol. So this is where we'll look at, opening things up. But it was the woman's husband who she'd cared for, and he should have been having more fiber in his diet. It wasn't a message, that was just part of it. But that's exactly what he was trying to pass over to her. So you sit with someone, and you practice with real people, and you sit because you need feedback. You need your yeses, you need your no's. Your no's you learn from. So you need to sit with someone to give them a reading. And that is where everything begins to click for you. This is where you start to get your trust, your confidence, everything. And then keep going. You never stop learning. I've been a medium all my life, but I only recognised I was a medium in 2013. So 13 years. And I'm still evolving. I'm still getting better. And in those 13 years, I've worked internationally. I've worked in different countries, in person as well as online. I help to develop people. I run mentorships, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning. You know, I would, I question someone. It makes me question someone who, who says, no, I don't need to do any more workshops. I've done enough. That tells me that they've hit a certain level and they're refusing to go further. You can always go further with mediumship. When I say further, I'm not talking about traveling. I'm talking about your level of evidence. Because mediumship is a calling. I believe it is. If you feel it, pursue it, because it can be given so much healing and validity to people's loved ones who are left behind grieving, who are still on the physical life, who are really missing their loved ones. It can also give them guidance to make better life choices. It can also be giving them guidance so that they can, make better decisions, change different paths or change their paths or better relationships, everything that is going to be better for them. So always remember, a medium doesn't know everything, doesn't know everything. And when you think about it, what does intuition really feel like? A lot of people think that intuition is a voice telling them what to do. Sometimes it is, usually it's not. Intuition, it feels like a knowing. It doesn't feel like a thought, but it feels like a knowing. You just know something and you can't explain why. Sometimes it's a feeling in your body, like butterflies, tightness, goosebumps, hair stand on end. Your gut literally tightens or relaxes. And sometimes it's a pull. Sometimes you feel drawn towards something, someone, situation, a place. Or sometimes you can feel repelled as well. No logical reason, just energy. And sometimes it can be a flash of images. You see something in your mind that makes sense instantly. Because intuition doesn't come from your brain, it comes from your energy, from spirit. And your energy isn't just energy. You can also call it your spirit as well. So from spirit, we connect to spirit. From energy, we connect to energy. It comes from your soul, knowing what's true before your mind catches up. I always say to people, in mediumship, the first second is spirit's mind. After that, it's your mind. Because most people can kill intuition by thinking too much. Stop thinking, just feel instead. It doesn't come from the mind, it comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. And, you don't just automatically trust it just because you've ignored it before. Because how many times have you got a bad vibe about someone and then ignored it because they seem fine on paper? Or because you have believed what someone else has said and then later found out that you were right? It's happened to me many times. It's probably happened it's probably happened to everyone at some point. Same as we'll think you get a good feeling about someone, and then it turns out that they're not so good a person. Again, you've ignored your feelings. You've ignored your gut instinct. So we can, the more we can learn to listen to our intuition, the better it is. you see. And when we find out, we've got a bad vibe, or, we find that someone's not as nice as what we felt they were, or we thought they were, but we maybe felt as though we should have really known better. That's the damage, and that's life, isn't it? You did the work, you felt it, you just didn't trust it, and now your gut is like, okay, I'm not speaking up again. Your gut's even fell out with you. Your gut is even saying, I'm not speaking anymore because you don't listen to us. Well, learn to listen to your gut. The more you can learn to listen to the gut, the better it is. The better it is for you. Now, the damage happens, and then your gut's not talking to you. So you've got to start and rebuild your trust again. Start small. Make a decision purely from your gut instinct. No logic. Watch what happens. Keep a journal. Keep a record. Write things down. Record your hits and your misses. And over time, you'll see that your gut is usually right. And I've been aware of spirits since I've been aware of spirits since I was a child, but I didn't know I was a medium till 13 years ago. So I thought I was schizophrenic, definitely not diagnosed. But I would have one side of my head talking to the other side of my head. So I spent more of my life known or not known I was a medium than what I've been a medium, recognized medium, recognizing my mediumship. And do you know something? Even for all those years that I didn't recognize I was a medium, I still would listen to, one side of my head talking to the other. I would still listen to the feelings I got in my body, but I couldn't understand. I didn't put a title on it. I just, I remember this side of my head saying to that side of my head, walk around that way, you're going to bump into such and such. This side of my head saying, are you sure? And that side of my head saying, yeah, why not? And this side saying, but there's no reason why I would bump into that person because they don't live anywhere here. This side of my head saying, well, just go with it and try it. This side of my head saying, okay. So I'd walk a certain way. And I'm talking about when I was like 5 or 6, maybe 8 or 9 at tops. And I'd walk a certain way, and sure enough, there would be the person. I would know if it was going to be a man or a woman that would be the next one to knock at me door. I'm talking about when I was a kid. So I've always had that, but I didn't recognize it. I didn't trust it. You see, because so you've got to rebuild that trust, start small, learn to trust, make a decision purely on your gut. Ask for things, ask for signs, keep a journal, and over time you'll see that, yeah, your gut instinct is usually being right. When it does give you a hit, act on it immediately. Even if it seems weird, the faster you act on your intuition, the stronger it gets. Trust is earned by using it, so use it a lot. I can remember times when, so for example, in the past, I've sometimes had the feeling to decorate. I've had the feeling, a strange feeling that I need to get, declutter my home or something, because I just have the feeling that I need to get this done. Don't know why, but I just got the feeling that I had to do this. And then 2 or 3 days later, I've had an impromptu visitor who said, come to visit you. Is it okay if I stay at yours for the night? Yeah. Now I understand why I decluttered my spare room. Now I understand why I decluttered and felt like decorating. It all fell in. See? That should make sense. That should make sense to you. And as I say, if you've got any comments, pop them in the chat. If you've got any questions of yourself, pop them in the chat and I can answer them while I'm live. I'm going to be doing more lives because I get a lot of questions asked of us. So I am going to do more questions and answers. So please, if even when I finish the live, if there's any questions that hasn't come up, pop them in the comments and I can do another live and reply to you. Now, a question that you might have been thinking about is, can your loved one communicate with you through dreams? Absolutely. 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 Because what happens is, life gets busy. We have our busy days, and sometimes we're not noticing signs that come through. So dreams can be one of the clearest ways that spirit can reach you, because your brain is quieter at night. Your guard is down. Your channel opens easier. Think about it. During the day, our brain's on the go all day. What am I going to make for tea? Where am I going to go tomorrow? I need to make this phone call. I've got a bill to pay. What will I wear today? Oh, yeah, I've got that job. Oh, I wanted to watch Emmerdale Farm. Oh, this is happening. Our mind has all sorts going on. We go to sleep and the dreaming starts. You see? Because, yes, we do have times where we go to sleep and my mind's still overthinking. But on the whole, once we do finally manage to get to sleep, the dreaming can be happening. And if you're dreaming about a passed over loved one regularly, they're trying to talk to you. It's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to connect with you. They're trying to talk to you. It could be to let you know that they're there with you. It could be to give you guidance. But they're trying to talk to you. That's the main thing. And what does it look like? I don't know about you, but I don't always remember my dreams. And I'll be honest with you, my dreams is I don't think anyone has a dream that's so straightforward. My dreams are like all over the place. But you might see them in your dream and then, they look peaceful, they look happy, they look healthy. They might hug you or you might give a smile off them. They might give you a message. They might give you some guidance. Sometimes they just want you to know that they are there. The tricky part is dreams are symbolic. Dreams are symbolic. So if you get a dream about your dad handing you a car key, it's not always about the car. It's about direction, movement, him giving you permission to move forward. It's exactly what it is or what it could be. It's always symbolic. And if you want more of those kind of dreams, set an intention before you go to bed. Out loud, say, I want to connect with, and then name the person. Sleep on it. Keep a journal by your bed. Write down your dreams immediately when you wake up. The dreams that you remember, because we don't remember all of them. Your loved ones, your guides will meet you there because they want to be remembered. They want to communicate. The dream is their easiest path to get through to you because it's when your mind is quiet. It's when your mind is still. That's when they communicate. That's when they can get through to you. And a lot of people also, I hear people say, I'm blocked. How do I clear a spiritual blockage? Or how do I clear negative energy? And this is the one that can stop people growing. Spiritual blockages are just stuck energy. Stuff that you've picked up, stuff that you've created through fear or old beliefs, negative patterns. That's what spiritual blockages are. And how do they form? Well, you hold on to guilt, shame, worry. You don't forgive someone. You don't forgive yourself. You hang on to what ifs. All of it blocks your frequency. And I'll be honest with you, my belief in how I've been shown is personal growth is part of mediumship. That's what can take you from psychic to mediumship or mediumistic. Because when your frequency is low or blocked, spirit can't reach you clearly. You can't reach your intuition. It's like a radio with static. It's all jumbled up. And the way to clear it is, again, meditation. Sit and ask your guides to clear what doesn't serve you. Feel it happening. And this does sound a bit woo-woo, but it is real energy work. I know I hear a lot of people saying, do you really need to meditate? No, you don't need to meditate. You don't need to meditate, but for your mediumship, you should. If you want to further, if you want to put your work into your if you want to put the work into your mediumship and you really want to open up the potential of how far you can go with your connections, I recommend meditation. I really do. And then forgiveness. Forgive others. This is the big one. This is the big one because I think we can all agree that, we all find it hard to forgive. But the secret to forgiving is forgiving yourself first. And some of you might be sitting out there saying, I've done nothing to be forgive. I don't have to forgive myself. No, you don't need to forgive yourself at all. But this is the thing. You forgive yourself for example, it is so hard, Erica. It really, really is so hard. But, for years, I was one of those that said, I don't have to forgive myself for nothing because I've done nothing wrong. But here's the thing, forgiveness starts with us. It really does. When someone told me years ago, oh, forgive yourself. Like, well, how do I do that? I've got nothing to forgive myself for. But then I started sitting purposely, intentionally to forgive myself. And I would start off with, I forgive myself for being a child and listening to adults that should have known better. I forgive myself for words that I said to someone that hurt the feelings. I forgive myself for actions that I done when I was a child. I forgive myself, and I would just sit and reel loads of things off. And I can honestly say, this went on for weeks because I knew that holding in negative feelings about other people that I couldn't forget, it was really detrimental to myself. It was really having a damage on myself. It was creating where I would, I couldn't open up to people because my heart was a bit closed off. So I really set about forgiving, and every day. And then all of a sudden I started, and I just felt such a shift in the weight on my shoulders. I didn't even realize that I was carrying that weight. I just felt such a shift. And it was, all I can say is it was just absolutely amazing, the feeling of the lightness that came in. And you know something, without even aiming to, um, someone that I could not forgive, um, all of a sudden I couldn't even think, I couldn't even say the name in my mind of this person. And all of a sudden it was, I could say the name in my mind. I could think about them and not have that instant anger or hatred rise up in us. So forgiveness does start with yourself. You know, it is definitely worth trying it, because there are so many benefits to forgiveness. So many benefits. And then, you know, movement's another one, dancing, sound, music. I love to put my music on and have a big boogie. I love to have a little bit boogie. Why do we do that? Because when we move, what energy moves with we. If anyone has seen me do a demonstration of mediumship, I walk around, I pace, I walk around, because I'm keeping the energy flowing within myself. If we stand still, if we don't dance around, if we don't do music, things like that, where energy is stagnant, it stays stuck. So dancing, I love to play. I've got very different types of music tastes, and I love a bit of 70s disco. I love a bit of 70s disco. I love a bit of Motown, love a bit of 70s disco. So I put it on and I'm dancing away, and I can feel the energy shift within myself, because there's times, you know, I'm just going to touch on this a little bit, but there's times where our emotions, our stuck energy can be affecting our health, our state of being. So, for example, if you want to think back to a time when, so for example, years ago, I really had, I'm going to say, a bad back. I actually had 3 herniated discs, and I was in agony, and my back was really, really, really struggling. But, and then I'd read a book, and I started looking into how our energy can be causing our symptoms of physical illness and conditions. And one of the things is, at times where you don't feel as though you have support around you, that can be a time when you can be noticing twinges in your back. You can be having, you know, a backache, because your spine is what keeps your frame standing up. It's what supports your skeleton. So your spine is your support system. Take your spine away, and you've got your rib cage, your shoulders, and all the top part of your skeleton. Then at the bottom, you've got your hips, you've got all the bottom part. Take the spine away and everything would collapse. So if there's a time in your life where you feel as though you know, your back is aching, you've got little twinges, things like this, think about it. At that time when that's happened, have you had support around you? Have you had support around you? You know, my husband, he passed almost 18 years ago. And when he was diagnosed with cancer, and there was a lot of things going on, I didn't have a lot of support around us, and my back gave way. I had herniated discs for no reason. I had terrible backache, everything. And then things happened. I had a lot of support, and my back was fine. You know, if you get aches in your hips, that can be a sign that you're not moving forward, that you're stuck. Because think about your hips. The move like this as you walk, the move, the meant to go forward. If you're staying stuck, the energy in your hips can be stuck as well. So dancing is great. Dancing is great for getting rid of, lodged in energy, stagnant energy. So it helps to get that unstuck. Another one is, salt baths. Having a salt bath. I don't have a bath now. I only have a shower now. But I used to love to have salt baths. Love it. I would get the big bags of if the salt. I can't eat rock salt. I've got a salt lamp there. But I still use my salt lamp, but salt baths, energy work. If you're really serious, get someone to help you clear the energy. Sometimes you just need someone else to help you see what you're holding on to. Because if you're clogged up, if your energy is all clogged up, you're not going to get very far with developing your psychic abilities or developing mediumistically. Clear yourself first, because then everything else gets easier. And I hope that makes sense, because our spirit is meant to feel light. Our energy is meant to feel upbeat or calm, peaceful, but it's not meant to feel heavy. It's not meant to feel heavy, you see. So those are the 10 that I've been asked, 10 of the most asked questions I get asked. Those are questions that people ask me when they're ready to basically wake up to their gifts. Now, if any of this has resonated with you, there's some work to be done. Developing your abilities. If you want, you can subscribe to my channel up there, wherever you'll find it. Come back. And if you do want to go deeper, I do run courses, classes, mentorships, and they're all there waiting for you. And I hold a lot of classes that I hold. A lot are online, and I'll explain why that is. Because as a medium, trust is a big thing. Trust is a big thing. Now, which is better? If you done some online work, that is going to help your trust massively, because you could be talking to someone and you don't know where they are. You could be talking to someone, connecting to one of their loved ones, and you don't know whether they could be in Timbuktu. They could be from the next street to you. They could be from wherever. So you have to trust. You're not questioning. You are trusting. Hello there, Alex Somerville. Hello. You are trusting, you say. So that is why online is a great way to develop as well. So you can visit my website, elainesomerville.com. Go to the courses, have a look what I've got coming on. If you feel as though you have maybe a couple of energy blocks, or one or two, or it could be 10 energy blocks, if you go on my website, there's actually a free 7-day energy reset course that is there for you. You just need to click on it and it's there. It's my gift to you. Feel free to visit it and get it. But I'm going to say thank you. It's been lovely that you've joined, Erica and Alex. I hope that you'll join us again. And I hope that, if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and I will come back to you as well.